year, and it's an honor to be here this evening to introduce my dear friend, Dr. Ruth Westheimer. Dr. Ruth and I met at the Museum of Jewish Heritage, a living memorial to the Holocaust, as trustees. And Ruth is such a shining example as a trustee. Ruth brings gravitas and importance to the museum and to our mission. Ruth gives me an incredible sense of perspective. We spend a lot of time together, and sometimes I complain, someone did this to me, or someone did that to me, or I have a problem, and Ruth explains to me that that's not really very important. Ruth, we saw in the film just now, you were separated from your parents when you were 10 years old. You were placed on a kinder transport train to a Swiss orphanage. Your post-war journey as a parentless and stateless young girl took you from Switzerland to Palestine to France and finally to New York. Here, you found a home, created a family, received an education, and built a career. Your journey is a testimony to your resilience. Survival alone, however, is not the whole story. You've told me so many times that there was a reason why you were put on a list of 300 children who went from Germany to Switzerland. You knew that you were meant to do something important and that your life had to have meaning. You have honored your parents and your grandmother all these years. You've always sought to give back through education and outreach. You've countered hate and saved lives in the process. Your pioneering work in television and radio, connecting the goodness of sex with Orthodox Judaism, was a refreshing and much cherished message for millions of Americans of all faiths. At a time when too many in the evangelical Christian communities were seeing HIV/AIDS as God's punishment against same-sex relationships, your show fought deadly miss. Dr. Ruth saved my life is a refrain we have heard many times from members of the LGBTQ community who heard your affirmation as nothing short of a lifeline. As you can imagine, when I hang around with Ruth and we walk down the streets, we are inundated with people running up to her. May I take your picture? Ruth, you saved my life. Ruth, I love you. I listened to you when I was a child. People stop, they honor Ruth constantly. One night we were at a restaurant near Lincoln Center, and there was a beautiful young couple having dinner, and the girl kept staring at our table. And she said to me, "Is that Dr. Ruth?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Dr. Ruth changed my life." She said, "I grew up in the South. I was taught that sex was dirty, unacceptable, and something that was wrong." She said, "And I listened to Dr. Ruth, and she changed my life. I understand that it's now beautiful and it's appropriate." Dr. Ruth has changed all our lives. On behalf of the Interfaith Center of New York, it is my great, great honor to present the 2019 James Parks Morton Interfaith Award to you, my dear friend Ruth.
can see. Okay, thank you. Where's the Reverend Curry? First, I need to get a kiss from you. Come up here. As you see, I don't take any chances. I don't wait until afterwards. I now got my kiss already. So, first of all, I'm very honored to be here. And what a wonderful cause and what a wonderful gathering. And as a very devout Jewish woman, I want to tell you a few things that I changed my mind lately. I used to say that I'm not going to talk anything about politics. Anybody who talks about sex from morning to night should stay away from politics. And lately, I have changed my mind, and this is very important for what you are involved in, because I do stand up to be counted how upset I am when I see children being separated from their parents. Because that's the story of my life, that if my parent hadn't sacrificed and sent me with a Kindertransport to Switzerland, I would not be alive. And there are two other issues that I certainly am going to work with all of you, that I also have changed my mind, that I believe that abortion must remain legal. So, otherwise only women with money will be able to obtain an abortion, and the others will resort to abortionists and to coat hangers. And it would be a terrible state of affairs if we have to go back to those years. And I'm very concerned about funding for Planned Parenthood, because we have to stand up. So for me, as a Jew, going with my father to synagogue in Frankfurt, I was an only child, so I was permitted to go to synagogue with him every Friday night. He had a little bit of money in the vest pocket of his jacket. He bought me an ice cream, because afterwards he wouldn't have touched any money. And the important thing is that I was permitted to sit with my father and with the men and listen to their learning. So the issue of learning and the issue of being educated and making some kind of dent, exactly what you are doing in your work, was with me from a very early age. As being very Jewish, for Jews the word sex in Hebrew, and there's one of you here, Pierre, what's your priest's name? Who knows Hebrew? Father Matthew, stand up, because he knows what I'm going to talk about. He has a master's in Judaic studies. So in the Jewish tradition in Hebrew, the word for sex is ladat. Ladat means to know. And that's what all of you, and that's what I am working very hard, that people have to communicate, they have to know each other. It's not just the issue of that activity, but it's the issue of having communication with each other. These days I'm very concerned about loneliness. Loneliness, not only the millennials, because all they do is sit with their phones, except you here. I don't see anybody. David, are you having your phone out? Okay. Even my friend, the best attorney, his phone is not out. So I'm very concerned that people are losing the conversation. So all of us have to work on that to make sure. I'm not against the gadget, I have one too, but we have to know when to use it, when not to use it. All of you here who are engaged in God's work to help others and to help people who are less privileged, I do promise you, as of tonight, raise a lot of money for the good causes that you are involved in. Herman, you hear me? Raise a lot of money and I promise you good sex for the rest of your life.